Hey guys, it's Shereé, and today I decided that I'd like to do a full face of drugstore slash affordable makeup with you. Alright, first things first, if you're new to my channel, please do hit subscribe, and at the end of the video, if you enjoyed it, please do give me a thumbs up. If you're a returning person to my channel, thank you so much for coming back, and I'm so excited to share with you some of the drugstore and affordable makeup things that I've been using lately that I really love. As you can see, my face is extremely shiny. There's a reason for that. I just cleaned my face and I moisturized my skin. If you'd like to know the things that I'm using for my skin lately, please do leave a comment below and I will definitely do a video on skincare. I do have a couple of new items in my stash that I'm loving lately, and so I can't wait to share those things with you. But I also have a couple of things that I've never tried before. One being this e.l.f. foundation sponge. I am so impressed by how squishy it is, one, but also how large it is. I didn't expect it to expand this big. This is way bigger than my beauty blender, way bigger than my Real Techniques sponge. I don't know what's going on with this thing. I mean, can you see this? This is quite large. Okay, the other thing that I'm using, I've actually used it once before, but I haven't really perfected the usage, and that is a Real Techniques. It's a mini, I don't know what they call it. It's like a mini blending sponge, or it's for concealer. But this also swells up pretty good size. So is it big enough to do your whole face? I mean, you could. It would probably take longer, but do you see the size comparison? All right, so here's what we're gonna do. First, I'm going to prime my skin. Now, this is the Maybelline Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser. I bought this a while back and actually forgot that I had it because I had went on to using some of my favorites. This is what it looks like. It is like a silicone type primer, and it's a clear gel type primer. So anyway, I'm having lots of issues with pores lately, and while, you know, it's kind of annoying, I actually don't really worry too much about pores. I know I probably should care more, but honestly, for me, it's skin health and just, you know, my skin being clear. Like, my focus areas are always, and it's been like this forever, acne and acne scars, like clearing and treating. So pores haven't really been a huge issue for me. I do have some high-end pore treatment items as well as primers, but since this is drugstore, I'm going to stick to this. This is my only drugstore primer that I own, so I'm going to use this, and we'll see how well it binds my foundation to my skin, and if it does anything for my pores as well. Okay, next, we're going in with my absolute favorite foundation. When I say favorite foundation, I mean across the board. There are a couple of high-end foundations that I enjoy, but this is my absolute favorite foundation. It is the Revlon 24-Hour Color Stay Foundation, and this one is in the color Caramel. This is my summer tan shade, and I'm kind of in the middle. About 2-3 weeks ago, we went to Tahoe for a week. I got really tan. And I wasn't wearing makeup, so my face got tan too. But I can already tell after being home for a couple of weeks and using my normal skincare, which included exfoliants, that my tan has pretty much started to fade. So this might be the last time I'm able to use this color. When I'm not using color 400 Caramel, I do use, this one is Toffee Caramel. So it's $3.75. And it is slightly lighter than this 400, and it kind of has a little bit more of a neutrally undertone, I kind of feel like, in comparison. So yeah, so I'm using 400 today, but I'll probably be switching to this one pretty soon here. The first thing I like to do is, I know this is weird for some people, but I actually like to just squirt my foundation directly onto my face. And as you can see, it is a bit darker than my face, but that's okay because my neck is still slightly tanned. It's not as tanned as it was when I first initially came back from vacation. But I think it's a good match still for my neck, even though it is a bit darker. I like this foundation a lot, and partly I like it because it's pretty full coverage if you want it to be. And it is like the best oily skin foundation out there. Like, I really enjoy the Fenty Beauty foundation. But I find that if I mix it with this foundation, I have better luck at having my face maintain the appearance of being matte all day. Whereas if I use the Fenty foundation by itself, it breaks up, or I start to get oily around my nose and forehead area. You know, your typical T-zone, for oily people who know what I'm talking about, typical T-zone area, it gets super oily. But I am going to go in with a second pump, and I don't need to. Typically on a Monday through Friday I wouldn't, but it's Saturday and I feel like getting glam, so I am going to do a little bit more coverage than I normally do. And then you'll be able to see how well it does at covering my pigmentation on my face. And I really enjoy this sponge. I feel like it's doing a really good job of blending the foundation out without taking too much away, and it's super soft. I feel like it's almost softer than the Real Techniques sponge, which surprises me because that's been the sponge that I've been using all year. But this is nice, and I think this sponge only costs like $4, so I'm pretty impressed with that. But as you can see, I'm more even tone now. My face is now darker, but I'm more even tone, and my face matches my neck a little bit better. Okay, so now that my foundation is on, I'm going to go in with concealer, and I've really been enjoying the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. The color that I'm going to be using is Tan 50. This is my favorite color. I feel like it's a good brightening color, but it's not super bright. I do sometimes go in with one shade lighter than this, just in the center of the areas that I like to highlight, so I might do that. But this one I feel like is a really good base. So I will now take that Real Techniques concealer sponge and go ahead and blend this out. I like this concealer because it doesn't crack up on my face, and it's pretty long lasting, and anybody with oily skin knows that concealers and foundation are really hard to come by when it comes to thinking about oils breaking through in the day and your makeup not sliding around, like actually it's staying in place. And I feel like it does a really good job of staying in place, and it just kind of helps to brighten up the under eye. Like for $6 or $7, it's a great buy. Now you can buy this on the ColourPop website. You can't actually get it at the drugstore yet, but they do sell ColourPop at Ulta, so I would imagine that this is coming soon. I would hope so. That would be really convenient and nice. Now this one is the color, let's see, what color is this? I think it's 40. Yeah, so this is the color 40, and as you can see, it's much brighter. But I like to lay down the other color first. It's only a couple snaps lighter than the foundation that I normally wear. So it really just helps to even out complexion and dark spots. Now this is what I use to actually brighten, and I only use a little bit, as you saw, and I'm trying to keep it pretty controlled to directly under the eye, right where I get the dark lines, right here, and then also I like to carry it down on the sides of my nose. And as you can see, it's just created a really nice brightening effect without being too white. I don't like when concealer is so light that it's just like a white poof in the center of your face. It drives me bananas when I see that. Speaking of bananas, I'm going to be using the Makeup Revolution Luxury Baking Powder in Banana. I really do like this powder. It's so affordable, and it actually works pretty darn good. I've been using the Sacha Buttercup powder for 2 years, I guess now, and I like it a lot, but I don't like that it's not something that you can just go to the store and pick up. You have to order it, and it's kind of pricey. So I feel like this is a good powder. It's slightly less bright yellow in comparison to that powder, but it's a very nice powder, and I feel like it actually blends so nicely on the skin. And while it looks nice right now, when I go over it with my face powder, it won't be quite as light. But I really do like how finely milled this powder is, and just how nice it works on the skin. Now this powder, even though I do use it to set my highlighted areas, I also like to set my nose and my smile lines and also my chin and the center of my forehead with this powder as well. Those tend to be the areas where I collect oil and also develop like smile lines. And to minimize that happening, I do like to add additional powders. This is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Powder, and the color is neutral. It's in 7. Now, I learned about these powders actually from Love Amanda. I love her channel. I'm not sure what her ethnicity is, but I want to say that she is like Filipino, and so she's probably 2 shades, maybe even a little bit lighter than me, but we tend to have similar undertones to our skin, and a lot of times what works for her also works for me. And she always finds the best like affordable drugstore makeup out there, and so I discovered this powder from her. Now you can get this powder at a lot of places, but I got mine from Ulta, and it was actually buy one get one 50% off, as they often do with a lot of their drugstore makeup. And so I was able to get 2 colors, and one of the tricks that I learned from her was actually to contour with a deeper shade in this powder. And so since I have trouble finding drugstore bronzers, I find that that's pretty much a really great tip, and so I've been using it lately, especially in this transition. Like, I have all this high-end makeup that I purchased in my regular skin tone colors, and I can't use any of it now that I have a slight tan. So I feel like, you know, in the interim, drugstore has been really helping me out. Okay, so that's that powder. Next, I'm going to go in with the darker powder, and the darker powder that I got is actually a cool tone color. And I like that on these powders, it's kind of hard to tell, there's like a different colored dots on the center, and so like for a neutral powder, the dots are orange, and for cool, it is blue. And so this color is C7. And I'm going to use this to contour and bronze my skin. So now I'm going to go in, I'm going to take this, it's a Lane Nickel, Royal Lane Nickel brush trio that I got in BoxyCharm, but I know that you can find these brushes all over the place. And funny enough, I found out that you can actually find these at Michael's. And you know how they have the art supply brushes, like paint brushes? They also sell makeup brushes, which I did not know that. I can't remember whose video I learned that on, but keep a lookout for those. They're really affordable. Typically they're about $7 or so, and so it's a, you know, really great brand. Their brushes are so soft, and I have been really enjoying the ones that I received through BoxyCharm. This is not a BoxyCharm video, but I do want to say, if you're someone that's building your makeup collection, BoxyCharm is the way to go, because I often get $200 or more worth of products for just the $21 a month. And it's so much fun because you get tools like these brushes that I got, as well as makeup and skincare. And I've gotten some really great skincare stuff that has really improved, I would say, the texture of my skin. So I'm going to take this banana powder, and I'm going to use a different Lane Nickel brush to kind of carve out where I'd like to see a contour line, I guess. So I'm going to take this brush here, it's kind of slanted, and I'm just going to stamp it in the areas where I'd like to see a more clear defined contour. And I'm going to leave it there for just a little bit, and then I'll brush it away with my powder brush. So now I have a powder line. I'm going to leave that just like that and move on to now, I'm going to move on to my blush, and I will be using one of my favorite blushes. It doesn't have the name on it, and I'm so bummed about that, but I'm pretty sure that everyone's probably seen this blush, and if you haven't, it's very easy to come by. It is a Wet n Wild blush, and this one is the color Iconic. And I'm just laying it right here on the balls of my cheek. It's a super pigmented blush, so you have to be careful when you use it. Like, I just used a little dab, and it is like super pronounced. So I will go over that with my powder brush when I knock away this powder. But anyways, you cannot go wrong with Wet n Wild blushes. They are amazing. I'm going to be using two highlighters that are just so phenomenal from the drugstore. They are the Maybelline Master Chrome highlighters, and I have 100 Molten Gold and I have 150 Molten Peach. And I'll tell you what, they rival a lot of my high-end highlighters, and since I am addicted to highlighters, I do have quite a few. So I've compared them to a lot, and I would say the Molten Gold kind of reminds me of the Laura Geller Baked Gelato. What is it called? I'll have to think about it, but it's one of the Laura Geller highlighters. It's the iconic one that everyone has. This one definitely reminds me of that one a lot. So if you are a fan of that shade and you're running low and you don't want to spend another $25 or however much it costs for that tiny little highlighter, definitely check this one out. It is $10, and as I mentioned before, drugstore brands at Ulta typically go on sale for buy one get one 50% off, and I did hit one of those sales at one point, and I did pick these up and I love them so much. So this is what just the gold looks like, and as you can see, it's a beautiful bright gold. It's not glittery on the face, but since I want to be a tiny bit extra, I am going to take this peach. I don't even know what color eyeshadow I'm wearing today, and I'm already dipping into peach, but I'm going to take just a tiny little peach and put it on here. The difference between the two is, yes, it gives peach highlight to your skin, but also this one actually has more glitter. So this one does have glitter flakes in it on your face. I don't know if you can see that because of the brightness of my lights, but it's a peach highlight with a golden undertone, and it does have glitter, okay, and I love it. I love it. So now that this has been sitting here for a few minutes, I am going to go in with my powder brush, and I'm just going to kind of sweep it away and fix my baby hairs. And just kind of sweep over my blush one more time. Okay, and that's my face. Hope you like it. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to eyebrows. Now this is a product that actually surprised me. It's actually pretty good, and it only costs $2. It is the e.l.f. eyebrow pencil, and this one is just, I believe, in dark brown or deep brown. But it's a pencil on one end and a brush spoolie on the other, and I like this brush because it actually is a very creamy brush. And unlike some of my favorite brow pencils like the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz and Brow Definer, it is not hard, so it does not take out or pull out my eyebrow hairs, and I so appreciate that. It is kind of like a cross between a pomade and a pencil, and I just lightly try to fill in the sparse areas of my brows, and I basically stroke in the direction that my brow hairs are growing. I'm not going for a super pronounced brow, but I do want my brows to appear fuller than they are naturally. And I find that since this is a creamier brow pencil, it actually holds my brows in place, so I don't necessarily feel the need to use a brow gel. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is prime my eyes, and I'll be priming with the NYX eyeshadow base. And this is a part of my project pan. I have been using it pretty much every time I do my eyeshadow, and I've barely made a dent. It's so crazy how much product is in this tiny little jar. So if you want something that's affordable, that's going to last you a long time for a eyeshadow base, I definitely recommend this, and I do think that it is good for oily skin, and I am a person that gets oily lids. Alright, so now to get into arguably the best part of makeup, and that is eyeshadow. Now I have two palettes here that have been so impressive to me that I really enjoy. One is the City Mini by Maybelline New York, and this is the one that's Time Makeup Sheila, who I'm a huge fan of. I really love this guy. The other one is not new, but new to me, and is the CoverGirl's True Naked Jewels palette. Now I saw this palette and I thought, oh my god, that is so beautiful, but I bet it doesn't have any pigment. I was so wrong about that. I love this palette so much. I think what I'll do is I will use the neutral colors in the City Mini, and then I will use the shimmers in this one. I'm going to tap into that lighter like white shade. I'm going to go into that brown shade in the Makeup Shereé palette to do the crease color. I really love a good brown, and I think I want to do a smokier type of look. So I am taking this one and just blending it through the crease. Picking up this one here. I think I'm going to go in first with the green. I'm going to actually take this L'Oreal Infallible Makeup Extender setting spray, which is hard to find in stores, but you can find it easily on the L'Oreal website. It's kind of pricey for drugstore, and my absolute favorite drugstore setting spray is actually the Wet n Wild setting spray, but that one I can never find in stock. So that is why I'm using this one, and I think it made a tiny difference, but I think that this shadow is actually pretty pigmented on his own, so I don't think it necessarily needs to be wet. I was just curious as to see if it would make a difference if it was wet. I think that that's so gorgeous. I hope I'm in focus. I feel like I am, but it's extremely pigmented, very glittery on the eyes, and I love it. Okay, so I think I'm gonna actually try to add a little bit of the black in this palette. I've swatched it on my hands, but I've actually never used it on my eyes. That is pigmented. Okay, I may have made a mistake. That black is really black. I didn't expect it to be quite as pigmented as it is, but that's okay. I still like it. I thought it was going to be a lot of times these black shadows, especially from the drugstore when they have shimmer in them, they don't have as much pigment, and you have to really build them up with this one. So, alright, I'm going to go back in with my blending brush, and I'm just going to go right above these colors, and I actually think I'm going to dip back into that brown that was in the Maybelline City Mini, and take a little bit of that brown to just kind of blend those colors together right at the very top. And that's that. Alright, so now I'm going to go in back into this palette. I might actually go in with the gold. Yeah, I'm going to go in with the gold, and I'm going to use it to highlight the inner corners of my eyes. I like it. I just thought it was going to pack a bit more punch than it actually is. And so for that reason, I'm going to see if I can switch back to the City Mini and just add a little bit of the gold from that palette to see if it will really amp up the gold. So here's the gold in the Makeup Shereé Maybelline palette, and I think it's a tad bit brighter. Yeah, it is. It's a tad bit brighter than the other gold, and that's actually what I was looking for. Okay, I like that a lot. I feel like that definitely brightened up the inner corner of the eye. So because I have not been really feeling doing eyeliner lately, I've had some struggles with allergies, I'm going to take the black in this, and I'm just going to use that to rub underneath my lash line. Alright, so that's the under eye. Now it's time to do some mascara, and I actually have two mascaras I'll be using. One is actually a primer. You may have seen this before. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer, and I'm actually going to be using this primarily for my lower lashes so that they pop a little bit more, because with the mascara that I'll be using today, it has trouble grabbing onto my bottom lashes. I'm going to go ahead and take this e.l.f. mascara, which I believe is only $2, and I'm going to put it over top of that primer. Okay, there you have it. Those are the eyes, and if that is not drama for your mama, okay, I don't know what is. I think that the eyes came out really nice. I'm so pleased with these drugstore palettes. I've actually purchased quite a few duds when it comes to eyeshadows in the drugstore, but these two really are impressive. So if you haven't tried them, do check them out. I want to say that this is like 10 bucks, and I think this one's about $12. But like I said, that buy one get one 50% sale often happens both at Walgreens and Ulta, so that will be the best time to try these out. Next, we're going to move on to lips. For lips, I'm going to go in with the NYX Cosmic Metals. This is a brown gloss, and this one, let's see, what's the love? Galactic Love. I love this brown gloss. It is so good, but I think it's fun because there's lots of shimmer in it. I just think this is such a rich chocolatey brown, but it has kind of like a, I don't know, like a silvery look to it. I don't know, I really like it. It is definitely giving me some galactic vibes. So this is my dramatic drugstore makeup. I'm going to be setting it all with this L'Oreal Infallible Pro Spray Makeup Extender Spray. So this is what my makeup came out like using some of my favorite drugstore makeup items. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. I thank you so much for stopping by and checking me out, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!